I will turn 36 this year, and that means that I will be closer to 40 than to 30. Sounds scary, but it's actually not. It's just fine.
It's not my birthday today, but I'll still have the cake.
As a matter of fact, I feel as confused as when I was about to turn 16, except I'm not in high school anymore and I have someone to take care of instead of someone having to take care of me. Our culture dictates that by the age of 30 we should have figured it all out. Have a steady job, steady income, own a house and a car, have a decent investment portfolio, 2.3 children, and slowly drift into a magical place called retirement, where we would be allowed to do whatever the hell we want to do. Being 35 and barely scratching the surface of these expectations, I still not feel like a complete failure. Can I be the only one? 14 years ago, when I enrolled in university, I thought I found my calling in teaching, but 10 years after graduating, I found out that I don't enjoy teaching and that I want to change my course. Is it too late? Should I still keep teaching, although I no longer want to do anything with children who are disinterested in subjects they should have been studying? I don't think I should. Yet, here we are, and the end-up product is me sitting in a classroom half absently watching the clock tick by and wishing the damn thing could move faster while pretending to teach children who pretend to be studying. In your case, it can be some meaningless office job or a rather meaningful medical career, but down the road, you've realized it's not for you or you don't enjoy it anymore. What do you do then? Are both of us just lost cases? I mean, are you and me the only two people who haven't figured things out by their 30s? I've been trying to make a gradual transition to a new career by running a YouTube channel while working part-time as an English teacher. But back in August last year, China changed its policy and teaching English for profit became illegal. The schools were allowed to keep their students until they ran out of credit or give them refunds. The school I used to work for chose the first option. Since YouTube isn't providing nearly enough for us, what do? Find just any job with a steady income? Or do I go full-time on YouTube, although it still have to go for months without any income? I had no idea what to do, but I had to do something. And I went the hard way, the no income way, at least for some time, and this was my reasoning. The whole concept of a steady income and an office job or even a factory job is a novel thing. Humans survived millennia without working in an office or a factory because none of these things existed. Nobody was clocking in, clocking out each day. This whole idea, go to school, find a job, work 40 hours a week, repeat, started with industrialization. Factories needed replaceable workers and they trained them in school as very young people. But now, demand for replaceable workers is low because machines do most of the jobs. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, quite the opposite. It's extraordinary. Machines can do dull jobs and we humans can do what we do best: create. But for one reason or the other, we are still stuck in that 9-to-5 mindset and we have invented some weird, meaningless office jobs just to keep people on the payroll, and we still keep doing the things we hate because we think work should be like that. Show up, clock in, do some mundane work, clock out, go home, have dinner with your family, go to sleep, repeat, and get paid every month or every 2 weeks or every whenever. That whole thing gives you a sense of security. You think you're safe because you'll be getting that next paycheck until you stop getting it because, well, things happen. Policies change, markets crash, businesses fail, you get replaced by a new machine, by a new person, or something else happens. And when things happen, what do? Do you find another meaningless job? Or do you find your own way and pursue the thing that you breed for? And not worry about the steadiness of the income because in the future it will pay off and it's never supposed to be steady? Some might think that you're not supposed to enjoy your job. That's why it's called work and not pleasure. You can't mix the two. Or can we? Our ancestors had a handful of jobs to pick from and they had to do them whether they liked them or not. There was that mine near your town, and if you wanted to earn some money, you'd go to that mine and you'd better dig something out of it or you starve. If you were one of those lucky people who could afford universities, you could have been a doctor, a lawyer, a journalist, or even an academic, but there weren't nearly as many of these white-collar jobs in the old days, and not everybody was born into royalty. And if you weren't born into a rich family, you couldn't afford a university, then you had to do some sort of physical labor or to spend your youth developing a craft, learning from a senior family member or a neighboring craft worker who needed an intern, and you would learn to make shoes, clothes, bend metal, or other craft that was performed in various small town workshops, and gradually you would open your own workshop and the cycle would repeat. Very few ran their own businesses, and even fewer people had tried pursuing a creative endeavor and making a living as writers, painters, photographers, or whatever. In modern day and age, we can turn anything, but really anything, into a profitable business only if we are skillful enough. Now, more than ever, there are countless opportunities to do what you love, and we should take a full advantage of that. But it's difficult to make it as a creator, skeptics would argue, especially if you're starting late. What if I tell you that it's not supposed to be easy? Nothing good that comes from life is easy. Our grandparents didn't have a choice, and they sure had to have it all figured out by the age of 30. Very few of them lived up to 60. 30 was more than a half of their life. But with modern healthcare and lifestyle, experts are able to estimate that we could easily live up to 100. And if that's true, 30 is less than a third of your life. Imagine what you could do in the next 20 years if you put your mind into it and spend the next 30, 40, 50, 60, even 70 years living your dream. It's never too late to start over, to learn or to grow. Sure, the best time to grow a tree was 10 years ago, but the second best is now. Not only that we have an abundance of choice, but that choice is even paralyzing. There are so many things we want to do that we can't focus on one thing, but we rather pick more than we can handle, and we fail in all of them, or at least in majority of them. Sometimes that's just fine, that's just right thing to do. We tried, we failed, and we move on. We shouldn't be victims of our bad decisions in the past. We should learn from them. We should be able to get out of these traps. What I know is that I never wake up excited that I have to teach another English class in a classroom full of children who hate themselves and their parents for being in that classroom and whose attention span lasts as an average TikTok video, but the sole reason I wake up early each morning is because I'm excited about the things I'm going to create that day. And if I don't create anything at the end of a day, I feel miserable, as if I failed in life. And I did, at least for that day. All of us have something to put on the table. We might have been dealt a bad hand, but we can still play the game and even win it if we play our cards right. We must know that this is the only life we have, and we can't just spend it doing the things we no longer enjoy, doing things that make no sense to us or to anyone else. We can't spend our lives hiding in a false security of comfort zones. We just can't. It's inhumane. When we force someone to do things they don't want to do or they hate doing, we consider that a crime. We call it forced labor, slavery, rape. But for some reason, when we force ourselves to do the things that we find immoral, unpleasant, or derogatory, it's just fine. I don't get it. Why? Why are we allowed to force ourselves into doing the work we hate just for the sake of money? It's a crime against ourselves, and yet nobody's punishing us for that because the same person is a victim and a criminal. And we suppose that that choice was conscious and right. It makes no sense. It just doesn't. Look, we won't be getting another life to start from the age of 0. All we can do is restart from 20, from 30, from 40, and why the hell not from 70 or 80, and spend the next 10 years, at least, doing what we always wanted to do. Life is more like music. Music is not a race. The point of music is not to hit the last note and finish the melody, it's to enjoy each and every step. Music has ups and downs, it's slow and it's fast, and most of the time it's beautiful.
I can't actually play that. I started learning a few times, and after I reached the plateau, I would just give up and quit. So that's another thing I need to learn. To kick from the bucket list.
The trick is to find the right notes and the people who will resonate with them. With enough people, we can make it work. It's not impossible. So, go out there and find them. Find all of them. I'm set for that journey for sure. And like Columbus, I'm either gonna find that new world or I'm gonna be crushed by waves of the unforgiving ocean of uncertainty that's in front of me.